Here are 7 advanced movements that will help you master aggressive sniping in COD Mobile. Movement number 1, the ADS slide. Have you ever tried sniping against somebody that is using an SMG? If you did try this, then you know that SMG is gonna kill you before you even have the chance to scope in. This is obviously because snipers are not close range weapons like SMGs, and that is why you need to use a movement called ADS slide. The ADS slide movement will throw off the aim of your enemy and make you a harder target to hit. To do this movement, first you have to make sure that you're using tab and hold to ADS in your settings. With that setting turned on, all you gotta do is press the slide button, and then right after pressing the slide button, press the aim button. This is how the movement should look like when you're doing it properly, and you can even use it when you're peeking from cover. Let's move on to movement number 2, which is the dolphin jump. When you're using a sniper, you'll often find yourself in a 2v1 situation where you have to fight 2 enemies at once, and if you try to use regular movements in these kinds of situations, then you'll basically become an easy target to the enemies and you'll die no matter how good your aim is. This is why you need to use movements that are unpredictable like dolphin jumping. So here's how to do the dolphin jump. First, you make a slide on either side of the enemy, and then as soon as you start sliding, face the opposite direction and make a jump and kill your enemy. You will need a bit of practice to master this movement, so try going in a private match to learn how it works. But after you get used to this movement, this is a very powerful movement for handling 2v1 situations. Let's move on to movement number 3, which is the backslide. Now here's the thing, as a sniper, it's quite common for you to be in close range with your enemies, but it becomes a problem when your enemy is literally standing inches away from you. Given how fast-paced Call of Duty is, this is a problem that happens to everybody, including pro snipers. This is exactly why we need to use the backslide movement to put some distance between you and your enemy so you can easily kill your enemies. To do this movement, first you have to look away from the enemy and make a slide cancel, and then while you're sliding, face the enemy again and get the kill. You don't need a long time to master this movement, so just practice it a couple of times and you'll get the hang of it. Alright, moving on to movement number 4, we have the rush slide. You know how when you're going through an alleyway with your sniper and then an enemy comes out of nowhere? When this happens, most people start panicking and they scope in and try to kill the enemy, but that doesn't help when you're panicking. If you panic in these kinds of situations and don't use any movements, then you'll end up missing all your shots and getting killed by the enemy. And this is why you need movements like the rush slide, because instead of trying to kill the enemy with no hope, you can use this movement as a countermeasure. In order to do this movement, you have to jump and slide at the same time and then aim in to kill your enemy. Your enemy will not expect you to do this when he sees you, so there's a pretty high chance of you getting the kill. This is a very fast movement and it definitely needs a lot of practice to master it, so keep practicing. Now we're gonna move on to movement number 5, which is the zigzag movement. The most vulnerable place for a sniper is when you're inside a building. Inside a building, you don't really have a lot of options to do movements because there are a lot of furnitures and obstacles. If you try to do things like sliding, then you'll probably end up hitting something like a wall, which means you're only relying on your aim to win gunfights. This is why when you're inside a building, the only movement that you'll need is a very simple movement called the zigzag. You just need to swipe your screen from left to right to do this movement, but try to be a little strategic with it. But this simple movement is more than enough to overwhelm your enemies when you're inside a building. Next up, we got jiggle peeking. Have you ever got tired of dying when you're using a sniper in search and destroy? Well, you're not alone, because many people struggle to survive with a sniper in search and destroy. This is mainly because they don't know how to peek, which makes them a very easy target. But here's the proper way of peeking with a sniper, also known as jiggle peeking. You can use this movement to gather information about your enemies without fully exposing your body, and then you can line up your crosshair and easily get the kill without having to rush. So make sure that you're doing this the next time you're playing search and destroy. I also recommend using Gear Up Booster when you're using these movements, because when you're using these movements, you need a good connection. Gear Up Booster will make sure that you're connected to the best server so you experience the least amount of lag. If you're using mobile data or if you have a bad Wi-Fi, then I highly recommend using this app. I'll leave the link to download Gear Up Booster on the description for you, so make sure to give it a try and use it when you're playing. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.